Touring is broken because there is such a long lead time that you need in order for an artist to have a tour that can accurately have supply meet demand. And I can use Lizzo as an example because I think she is someone who, although she has now done quite well for herself, her most recent tour, she came through all the arenas and stuff. She had this meteoric rise of a blow up that could really only happen in the streaming era, where she has this song, Truth Hurts, that comes out 2 years before it even blows up. And I remember my wife had actually bought tickets to see her show, and she bought them on face value. She saw them at the Bill Graham right here in San Francisco. And then by the time the concert comes, because the song blew up and it was a song of the summer, the tickets are 5x what they were beforehand. And she now, if there's some way to be able to be flexible and anticipate the fact that, okay, Lizzo's in a bigger area right now. Do we add a show right now? Can we bump her up to a venue? But it's so tough to do that because of how much lead time that you need in order to
book these arenas
and things,
because
right?
There's going to be basketball games or hockey games or
right.
whatever, other events that are coming through.
Yeah.
And so you need to get out in front to reserve the space at Chase Center or MSG
right.
or whatever it is to actually make it work. And so you generally, and then the flip side of this is the Chance the Rapper example, right? Where you think it's going to blow up and it turns out he had to cancel his tour to spend time with his family, right?
Yeah, everyone has technical difficulties.
Yeah, exactly.
When the numbers
it's amazing
don't
the parallels between the venture industry and, Chance wanted to spend time with his family, pushed out VCs, go spend time with their family.
Right,
There's
right,
a lot
right.
of parallels there.
But, we're going to take a sabbatical.
Yeah, so the flip side of that is Chance couldn't do it, right? He pre-committed to all this stuff and the ticket sales weren't actually coming through, right?
And it's been a few of them too, right? Chance has been one of them. We've seen Justin Bieber in a similar situation, Nicki Minaj as well. And I get it. This is an industry that is so driven by PR. If you have one report that goes out that even implies, oh, you're not as hot as you once were, because people are so drawn to what's in, people have this fear like it could, shift everything. Even though we both know as human beings and as people that run businesses, not everything you release is going to hit, and that's okay. You can still come through. But I do think in Chance's situation, it was a bit unfortunate because it did feel like it was signaling this changing moment where he clearly capitalized very well on the peak that he had when he reached the heights as an independent artist that we've seen. And honestly, who knows how long it may take us to see someone reach those heights again, at least for a US-based artist, the way that he did. And he essentially went on tour twice off of Coloring Book, I know that wasn't his debut album, but the mixtape that he won Grammys for and stuff. And it's tough. I think you also see it too on the Justin Bieber side, where it's this interesting thing where, because I talk to touring agents often, and you're trying to get an idea for what demand looks like. And you have these data points, like whether you try to base it off of streams, you try to base it off of how relevant the person is, maybe you try to get them a festival appearance and see how it is, but it's so tough until you get there to accurately get a sense for how many people are actually gonna have the intent to do something. And this is one of the things I know we can talk about, but it's so hard to determine what true fandom with the intent to go see you in real life looks like based on social media followers, based on streams. All of those things can be somewhat correlated, but they're usually not as correlated as people think. And you can have someone like Justin Bieber, who is very native to streaming, has had some, more songs with billion streams on Spotify than a lot of other people, but there's people that have no songs with billion streams that, could outsell Justin Bieber. And I'm not just talking about the legacy rock and roll artists. I'm talking about people that have also been making contemporary music the same way that Bieber has.
Totally. And so touring, for a while, there was the narrative that touring was where you were going to make your money. How big of a component of profits to the dollar or profits to the pocket of an artist? How does touring actually play in terms of the monetization now?
Oh, it still does, for sure. Yeah. And I still do think that touring itself, on average, more than a majority of the revenue that comes in for most of these artists is most likely going to come from touring. And unless you're someone like a unique example where you're a Jay-Z or you're Rihanna, where you have these product sales and that's where you're making your money, or even Kanye up until everything with Adidas, you're probably going to make more money from that. Or you have the flip side where you're an artist like an NBA YoungBoy who just dominates on streaming and you just pump out so much content there. You treat it like you're a YouTuber in some ways that you probably don't even need to tour as much because you're making so much from that. So there's always some extremes on other examples, but I do feel like the average artist breaking through today, at least 60% of that money, if not more, is going to come from what they do on the road.